roll into it.
Okay, here we go. This one time. Jory, it's 2024. We're back.
We're back and we're 15 minutes late and
Yeah.
nothing is going.
Yeah.
Right.
That's okay. This is called easing. This is called easing into the new year. This is just a microcosm of that. Yeah. So a few bugs to work out, but that's part of January. That's how January goes. But yeah, excited to be doing this, kicking off a new season. Yeah. And at this one time, so I will do quick intros. My name's Andrew Gillies. I'm the CTO at Urban Machine, and with my companion, fellow compatriot here, Jory Wisniewski, who's the marketing manager at Urban Machine. We're doing this podcast to effectively, build in public, share our journey at Urban Machine of building lumber reclaiming robots, or we're developing technology to help improve the circular economy for our built environment. And we're hoping folks can come along on the journey with us. We're sharing our sort of trials and tribulations here as we go. A lot of folks talk about hardware being hard, and we want to kind of pull back the curtain on that a little bit and sort of share people a little more context there, so that maybe they can reach their goals and their hardware journey a little bit faster, so we can all kind of move down the field together. And to kick things off, today we're going to be talking about vendors and sourcing of hardware. And we thought it would be fun to go through our top 5 vendors at Urban Machine. So that's what we're going to be going through today.
Drum roll.
Yeah. So should we? How do you want to do this, Jory? Should we start? Do you want to go backwards from 5, or you go 1 through it? How do you want to do it?
Great. And this would be good learning for me as well, because I see these names come through the orders, and I get to know what they mean.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's start with number 5. So number 5 is, it has to make the list. It's something that any hardware developer is very familiar. This is McMaster-Carr, McMaster.com. So this is going to be not a surprise, but it's just such a workhorse in the industry. And I think the most common thing people are using McMaster for are buying fasteners. So just like literally your nuts and bolts of your system. But really, the joke with McMaster is that you can get almost anything you can imagine there. They have an extremely wide variety of hardware components. Their catalog, which occasionally shows up through the mail, is like, it's like 2 telephone books, essentially. So it has to make the list. We spend a good amount of money at McMaster, and yeah, I thought we could maybe share a handful of the little tips and tricks that we've learned using McMaster that might be not as familiar to folks. But yeah, that's I thought where we could kick things off.
Okay. I mean, for me, I grew up. You've talked.
That's right.
Lots of things. I was raised. My dad was in the fastener industry. A prolific fastener. So
yeah,
this is an interesting number 5 is pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, there's a handful of things that make McMaster so special. One is just the variety of components they have. 2 is that they provide 3D CAD, 3D models of a lot of their hardware, which makes it really easy to integrate with the rest of your design. Oftentimes if you're looking at an off-the-shelf component, if you're just looking on a product page, say on somewhere like Amazon or something like that, you don't have access to 3D information, which makes integration into your design really challenging, because you don't know what's the final fit going to be, what does the spacing need to be to get it in there. And McMaster's has like almost 100% coverage across their entire catalog. One of the jokes with McMaster is that I think you can actually buy Swedish fish, like the candy, from McMaster, and they provide CAD of one of the candies as like a tongue-in-cheek joke. So that's one thing that makes it handy. Another, we should actually order them. We should throw some in there and see, because I've never actually ordered it through McMaster before. It's always just kind of been a joke on the line there, but I should actually do that. Yeah. And then of course we got to verify their CAD, make sure that we got to hold them to it.
That's right. And I'm sure they would appreciate, someone appreciating their humor.
Yeah. A handful of other really nice things about McMaster, of course, their overnight shipping is extraordinary. They have a warehouse inventory and order fulfillment system that is really parallel to none. I mean, they're sort of the original Amazon Prime, right? Like almost everything from their catalog you can order will literally be here the next morning. It is, and for like pretty bargain basement shipping. I have no idea how they manage this on the backside, but like if we realize we're missing a fastener or a timing belt or a bearing or something like that, there's a really good chance that we can have it, if not the next day, then in 2 days. Like the times you can get stuff in are just extraordinary. Another,
you're on time constraints very often. You've got dates to meet. If you're missing something, that's so clutch. On time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's critical when, especially you're oftentimes in these kind of like 0-hour situations where you just need something to be there immediately, and they're for sure the first place you're going to look. And we do that probably more often than we'd like to admit. They also have extremely reliable and effective customer service. They're one of the only organizations you can call, and within 2 or 3 rings, a human answers. And they'll have your order up within a few seconds. It's astounding. And not a lot of people realize that if you have an issue with your order, or if something is missing, or if you have a question, like you can literally get a human at McMaster in a few rings. Like there's no dialing through to anywhere. It's just a human picks up the phone immediately. It's really pretty special.
That's amazing. I cannot stand the maze of people, or maze of computer, what am I trying to say? Computerized.
Yeah, dial through. Yeah, auto operators.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's
yeah. Yeah. So we could. There's so much you could say more about McMaster. I think, and we could probably move to the next ones, because McMaster is probably the most familiar to people on this list. Yeah. So maybe actually I can share a few photos. Let's see. Oh yeah. Okay.
A month do you order from McMaster on average?
Oh, how many times a month? I would say it's probably like 10 to 20 times a month. Something like that. It's a lot. It depends. We go through cycles here. So sometimes we're building a lot and we're ordering a lot. Sometimes we're building less. But maybe 20 is excessive. But it's more than twice a week, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe 10 times a month. Yeah. So this is kind of so this is kind of a setup. Yeah, so this is our fastener island, all inventoried by McMaster. So that's how we kind of keep sane on the fastener side of things. Each one of these little drawers pops out, and we keep things organized this way. But then as we're doing a build out, we might set up a table something like this. So this is in the culinary world, they might call it something like this mise en place. You get everything set up and staged and ready to go before you launch into things. And this is, you can see the McMaster logos all over the place there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, when your daughter's ready to start putting Legos together, you're ready.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know how
Let's see, next. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, so next on the list, I'll show this is a custom steel weldment that's been powder coated. And this is one of our favorite vendors. This is a local vendor here in Oakland called Redwood Machine Works. And they do all our custom weldment welding and fabrication. So we have a lot of steel tubular structures across our machines, which, you can kind of think about this as the chassis. This is like the chassis of a car, right? You have kind of the base frame, and that's where all the other assemblies bolt onto.
I like that comparison. It makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, and they've been a great partner. They work with us early on a lot of these designs to make sure that we're going to be able to meet the tolerance with these steel weldments. There's a lot of interesting things that happen when you try to make these large welded structures, just in terms of holding tolerance across these various beams. You need to use jigs to hold things in place. And there's also things that can make these weldments easier or more challenging for the fabricator to hit tolerances. Like if you put beams in certain configurations, the whole structure can bend and twist under the heating that happens during welding, right? So it's really important that you work with someone closely, say like, hey, based on the structure here, how is this going to impact your fabrication process? How is this going to make it the most like cost and time efficient structure to realize? And they've been really great. We work with them early in the design to make sure that we can achieve that. And they do a lot of work behind the scenes to organize subcontractors for tube cutting and powder coating and some of the other machining that goes on. And they bring it together. And then eventually at the end of the day, they drop one of these really beautiful powder coated frames on us. So all we have to do at this point is just pop on our sub assemblies.
That's awesome. And that it's so. Have you been to their shop?
Yeah, they're great. They're just on the street. I have, yeah. I'd love to do. I was just so Zach, one of the owners over there. I was just chatting with him the other day, and they've just invested in a robot welding arm, so they can start doing robot welding over there, and that's going to help improve their throughput and ultimately lower costs for all of us. And I'd love to reach out to Zach soon, because I think doing some sort of podcast where we actually go on site there and see that setup would be really interesting.
That's a. And we like guests.
Yeah. Yeah. I should reach out and see if we can get something on the calendar with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you been using
let's see.
them?
So.
Or just now since we have the black?
We've been using them. Yeah, we've been using them for a little over a year, about a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah. So everything that we've deployed to the field, like the 3.0 generation that went to All Bay, and then the 3.1 generation that went to Zanker in the fall, all of that, all those chassis came from Redwood. Previous to that, when we were just in the shop, we were just using E20 and assembling it by hand.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, which was huge step up. Yeah, huge step up. Yeah. So the next vendor here is more on the electrical engineering side, and that's AutomationDirect.com. And they're our go-to vendor for our electrical components. So what you're looking at here is one of our control panels that's sort of being built right now. I think we've talked about the control panels on a previous episode.
Mm-hmm.
And almost everything on this board, almost everything comes from AutomationDirect. So we're talking about like contactors and relays, terminal blocks, Ethernet switches. So a whole variety of your sensors, cabling needs, cable trays, all that stuff comes from AutomationDirect. And We love AutomationDirect for a lot of similar reasons we love McMaster. I think that AutomationDirect is probably not well known as McMaster, just because it kind of hits more into that sort of EE controls niche. But in some ways, they're even more powerful because they also provide 3D CAD for everything, where a lot of other EE vendors won't provide CAD. They just have really extremely thorough documentation. They also have a really beautiful website that's easy to navigate through the various SKUs for the various product variations. You know, a lot of folks might be more familiar with a vendor like DigiKey or Mouser, and they're great. They have huge catalogs, but AutomationDirect just makes it so much easier to figure out, to get to the part that you actually want. Because a lot of these little parts have dozens and dozens of variations of like small, like whether that's like current capacity or sensing ranges or whatever is varying from product to product. And a lot of those other websites, it's just difficult to parse through and search for ultimately to find exactly the variation that you want. AutomationDirect just makes that very, very easy.
What's different about it? How is it so much easier?
Yeah, I think they just have better categorization and search tools on their website. So the bucketing it's just easier to segment their products in a way that the other search tools, they just don't quite have it set up in the same way. So I think it really comes down to the UI there.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And again, like incredibly aggressive lead times for them, and they're constantly adding more SKUs to their lineup. This would be a call out to AutomationDirect. I'm not sure exactly what's happening behind the scenes here, but we get our terminal blocks from the brand is Phoenix Contact, which is probably the most popular brand of terminal blocks. For some reason, are not listed on AutomationDirect. So maybe this is a gentle nudge to AutomationDirect. I'm not sure why they don't have a partnership or why they're not a distributor for Phoenix Contact. But if they could get Phoenix Contact on their website, they'd get all of a sudden a lot more business from us.
A shout out, a product ask, like Phoenix Connect. That's what you call it. Phoenix Connect.
Phoenix Contact.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tag them as well.
Yeah,
and see what we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next vendor, so we're down to number 2 now. Our we'll call them our second, since we're ordering things, our second favorite vendor is MISUMI. And MISUMI is rapidly rising in the ranks, one of our favorite vendors. They've really pushed the envelope of what their platform can provide. I think most people that may have heard of MISUMI probably think of motion components. So what I'm showing here are some linear guide rails, which whatever you attach to imagine these little blocks on here like little shuttles, right? So you attach something and these linear guides constrain this linear motion, so you can get some sort of linear motion out of these things. And they're done to like high precision and can withstand like lots of force and torque. So linear motion, ball screws, these sort of mechanical elements that allow you to provide some sort of the infrastructure for the joints in your robot. That's their core, that's their bread and butter. But they're really rapidly expanding their catalog. They have an extremely powerful configuration panel where they have so many SKUs there, where even just simple things like brackets or gussets, you can configure to whatever hole pattern you want. And again, the prices are very aggressive. So we've quickly turned over to almost all of our motion components now come from MISUMI. And I actually, there's for sure an overlap between MISUMI and McMaster. And it'll be interesting to see what the future holds, because I think that MISUMI could eventually be kind of eating into McMaster's market share. Like they're expanding their offerings that quickly. I don't know if we'd ever be buying nuts and bolts from MISUMI, but like it somewhat feels like it's going in that direction.
They're just expanding. How new are they?
I think that's a good question. So I think that it's a very well established organization. I think they've been around for quite a while. I think they're headquartered in Japan. Yeah, I'm not sure what their founding year was, but I'm sure it's quite a while. they've also, so we actually had some of their team visit us here to do, I'll call it a product interview with Aiden, one of our mechanical engineers. They launched a whole new branch of their business called Mevi. And Mevi is almost an expansion into custom milled components. So this would be like if you needed some custom aluminum block with various hole pattern in it, Mevi, you could upload whatever your 3D CAD was to the Mevi website, and they'll do an instant quote and mill it out for you and then ship it to you on a pretty decent timeline within a couple of weeks.
That's awesome.
So this would be somewhere in the camp of like Xometry. Yeah. Yeah. And
shipping from
it's also, no, they have a whole supply chain in the United States for all of this. So they have a global supply chain depending on the parts you're getting. For the CNC components, most of that they have partnered with machine shops in the United States.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense.
The really nice thing about Mevi is that it allows you to do a lot of configuration in the browser that you would normally have to provide a drawing to a machine shop for. So you can specify like the tolerances on a hole for a slot, yeah. So you can do all of your tolerancing directly within the GUI on the browser. They'll even let you export that profile outside, so you could almost generate your own machine drawings from their configurator if you wanted to like share it with someone else. Although I don't know why you do that, because the prices are already so aggressive that likely once you've done that there, you're gonna get it from them. But so that's like a new offering from MISUMI called Mevi, and we're huge fans of it. It's actually it's kind of an inside joke in the office that like Mevi comes up like multiple times a day and how much we love it.
Oh wait, you froze. It's an inside.
Uh-oh. That it just comes up multiple times a day. That we're just such huge fans of them that it's an inside joke that like basically it's hard to get through any conversation without Mevi coming up and how much we like it.
Okay. Have you turned it into an adjective and in the workshop?
We should. Yeah, we should. I think actually, so I was literally just using Mevi like half an hour or an hour before this call, and Aiden looked over. I mean, he's like, "Andrew, are you Meviing over there?"
There you go. Now I love it.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. Yeah.
So next time,
yeah.
Office, if I like come in and be like, something looks really good, and I say that's so Mevi, everyone will chuckle.
Oh, that would be a huge hit. Yeah. Yeah. That would be a big hit. Yeah.
You have to write it down. You got it. You got it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And
so on to number one, drum roll. Number one is Oshcut. Oshcut is really the workhorse vendor for Urban Machine. Oshcut is a machine shop. They mostly do laser cutting of metal plates. So if you have a steel aluminum plate, aluminum up to an inch thick, I don't know what their thickest steel is, but you could do like half-inch thick steel up to like a huge plates, like 4 by 8 feet plates. They do bending. They now offer tube cutting. This is what you're looking at. Actually, everything in this photo except for the wood came from Oshcut. This is a clamping mechanism in our current robot. So those little spiked rollers, each like section or blade is a little 1/8-inch thick steel plate that's been laser cut by Oshcut. And then the top is aluminum that's been kind of aluminum with the corners bent for stiffness there. You can see our logo laser cut out there. They'll tap holes. Like I said, we've just been getting into tube cutting with them. So this is our latest order from Oshcut, where we can now start to make parts of the frame from them and start bolting it together. And this is a total game changer. So almost our entire machine, like all the custom components, metal components, can come from Oshcut. And since they're in Salt Lake City, It's generally just a couple days for things to get shipped over here. Their timelines are also very aggressive. So, you know, other vendors in the space that people might be familiar with are someone like Send Cut Send or Xometry. Those are great vendors too. But anytime I ever do kind of a, you know, comparison shopping between them, Oshcut always comes out number one there. Yeah. So here's just like yet other boxes of components we've got from them, showing off their tube cutting capabilities. And then here's a whole, this is a mega order that we just got from them a couple of weeks ago. And this is all from Oshcut, all these different aluminum plates, bent sheet metal, everything.
I mean, the irony is not lost on me that you've framed this all up in front of the metal detector, but so what do you do? How are you storing stuff?
Oh, this we're building immediately. So this, maybe we'll save this for another episode, but this is, we're deep into the build on this next machine. Yeah.
Okay.
So staging is important, right? Like we spoke about. Yeah. So like almost immediately we're getting to work putting this all together.
Perfect. And how is it different? Like the Redwood, like what is, you said some of that framing from Oshcut. What's the difference between that and the Redwood?
Yeah, so the big difference is, you know, when we get something like this is actually the first time we've ordered cut tubes from Oshcut, so this is somewhat of an experiment. This is only like one of many elements of the value that Redwood provides, right? Like Redwood also uses a sub vendor to do the tube cutting, but that's just kind of the first step in their process. We're trying this out as a way to just do some rapid prototyping, so we can just assemble things really quickly in the shop here. But ultimately, we would never send this into production. We'd need something that has the quality that Redwood could provide with their welding and then powder coating service. So this is really only just like one step there. You know, there's some world I could imagine where, you know, we're getting tubes from Oshcut and then Redwood is welding those tubes together. But those are kind of future conversations.
I see. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it is a good question. Is it going from this to this is really the magic that Redwood provides?
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
This is a little experimental then?
This is on the experimental side for sure.
Yeah. Well, I think we're really lucky that you and the team have done your research to help you make your job a little easier. This amazing robot.
Yeah, it takes a while just sort of chipping away and understanding like who's going to be easy to work with. You know, it's always that kind of price, quality, time triangle that you're trying to navigate your way through. And you know, this kind of core set of vendors that we have now, we really feel like, yeah, we're supercharged to be able to put these amazing machines together.
Yeah, that's exciting. And also exciting about a summer internship.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, we are hiring summer interns. So I put up the posting for the mechanical engineering summer intern the other day. I think Alex is going to be talking about software intern as well soon. So yeah, we are looking for summer interns. So if you're interested in spending some money at these vendors, helping with this design, putting some of your own designs together, and then ultimately helping assemble and test these machines, please reach out.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. I mean, and the interns last summer were so great. I mean, we right into the team, and they got to work. They took on projects. Full-time employees. They were an impressive group.
Yeah. No, they're incredible. They each, yeah, and that was, Joy, you'll have to like cross-link to the episode with the interns where they were showing off their summer projects, because that was, yeah, truly impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. See, there's a benefit of being one of our interns at the end of the summer.
Yeah.
Sometime.
That's right. Yeah, exhibit your work. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Hey, well, how could you do better than that?
That's right. Well, if people want to apply, it's and where else is
It's on Wellfound as well, LinkedIn and Wellfound. Yeah, I believe if you go to our website, urbanmachine.build, it'll lead you out to both those spots.
Yes, that's right. Well, thank you, Andrew. I
Yeah.
like the content.
Yeah.
I learned what some of these vendors, as I see them on the Slack channel.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Put a purpose to the tracking number. Yeah.
There you go.
Super.
All right.
Cool. All right. Thank you. Okay.